Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron. It is the match reaction. Luton Town won, Everton won last night at Kenilworth Road. Sean Dyche's Toffees are still undefeated in the tracksuit, and overall a decent point yesterday. Listen, it wasn't a great game of football, was it? And it wasn't a particularly great performance, and I sat here and done the podcast yesterday afternoon and spoke about how I would have liked Everton to have gone out yesterday and continued, our form of the last couple of weeks or so. I know there's obviously no pressure on the games anymore, there's nothing riding on it, and I'm sure those players have waited an absolute age to get to the moment where they could walk onto a football pitch about to play a game of football without, a huge amount of pressure and a huge weight on their shoulders. So, like I said yesterday, I wasn't going to be particularly angry or particularly upset if Everton didn't win the game, and that's exactly how I felt after it, to be perfectly honest with you. It felt a little bit early rounds of the Carabao Cup-ish, didn't it? It felt like Everton turning up to, no disrespect, but a lower league side, and ultimately being a little bit cheapish, a little bit sort of, just going through the motions. And unfortunately, we were able to come out of there with something, because, ultimately it's never nice to lose a game of football. And had we have lost yesterday, even though there would have been nothing riding on it, even though it wouldn't have been the end of the world, and I'm sure there wouldn't have been anywhere near as much fume or upset as what there would have been had we have not guaranteed our Premier League survival. But it's still nice, like I said, to keep the run going. It's still nice to, pick up a point and climb further up the table. Yesterday's point meant that if we hadn't have had the point deduction, we'd actually be above Brighton this season, which is hysterical, isn't it? This league, the way people speak about it as the undisputed best league in the world, and the best club, the best ran club in the league, as it's known and as it's spoken about an awful lot in Brighton, should be finishing below the worst ran football club in the league. Everton haven't even had a board of directors for the majority of this season, and we've had an absent owner for God knows how long, and yet still we've earned more points than the side that is deemed the best ran football club in the league. So that just shows you that it's absolutely bonkers. But yeah, again, like I said, it did feel very early round of the cupish sort of tie yesterday, a little bit pre-seasonish. You could tell that the Everton players weren't quite as at it as they have been in the last week or so, and that might just be genuinely because we were away from home and it was a difficult game, it was a difficult fixture. It was all on Luton yesterday, and it's a tough place to go, Kenilworth Road, especially a tough place to go when you've not really got anything to play for and they've got sort of everything to play for, and they did yesterday. And if there's one thing we would have all known going into this game, is that Luton were going to have a go, Luton were going to get at us, Luton were going to put pressure on us, the crowd were going to be lively, and it was going to be tough to go there and play football and win the game. And Luton for me have been absolutely horrendous this season in terms of their quality. I know people big them up left, right and centre because of their effort and they fight and they're determined and they battle and they give everything and this, that and the other. It doesn't matter when you lose every week, ultimately. And Luton have very, very clearly got, an immense lack of quality there, and a lack of quality that likely will see them relegated this season. I mean, it's between three sides now, all of whom are struggling to find any real quality. They've got heart, they've got desire, they've got effort, but when it comes to finishing games off and taking chances and putting the ball in the back of the net, they're not great. And it was the same for Luton yesterday. I thought Everton were in control of the game, certainly in the first half. I thought we were in control of it. I thought we were passing it round well, thought we were moving the ball well, creating space, creating chances. Obviously we got the penalty moments after we should have had another penalty. I know some people will say, oh, that was a bit dubious, the one on McNeil. One thing I've heard a lot of in the last sort of 12 hours or so since the game is, well, if that was given against us, you'd be absolutely fuming, Cam. Again, I don't see that. He's gone, he's ran into the box, he's taken a couple of players on McNeil and he's been stood on the foot. If he'd have just been kicked behind slightly, a little bit like Ashley Young's against Forest, I'd say, do you know what, it's difficult to tell whether or not there's enough contact for the player to go down when there's a slight touch on the boot. But when you stand on somebody's foot when they are running at pace with the ball and are effectively through on goal to either take a shot themselves or create an opportunity, and you stand on their foot, it's going to make you go down. I don't know if anybody's ever played football before, and I know a lot of you will have played football, and we all know that the majority of these referees haven't played to any decent extent, and that's why they get so many blatant decisions horrifically wrong every week. But if you're running with the ball in the box and somebody stamps on your foot, it's going to cause an amount of pain, and you're probably not going to be able to continue your run. So I'm not quite sure how that wasn't given. I'm even more baffled as to the amount of people that didn't think it was a penalty, considering if it was given, you know, if it was a foul on Mo Salah or Garnacho or Haaland, it would have 1000% been given, and there's not a human being on this planet that can convince me otherwise. But Everton did go on and get the penalty. Should have had 3 penalties, really. I think that the challenge on Beto is a penalty as well. Beto gets the wrong side of him, and the player doesn't make any contact with the ball and makes contact with Beto when he goes down. But the one that was given was absolutely... it was as clear as day, and you know, you even had the commentators talking about it being clear as day. I'm not sure what Sky Sports' app was doing at half time, calling it a debatable penalty. They must have got it confused with another decision that was given or not given in the game, or maybe they just simply can't hide their agendas anymore. Maybe the fact that they had us on for 5 televised games on the bounce, expecting us to lose to Forest, expecting us to get embarrassed in the Merseyside derby, and expecting us to lose to Luton and still be in a relegation fight. Maybe because they haven't got what they wanted, and because you've got players like Dom Calvert-Lewin now and Sean Dyche coming out and saying, we all know what you wanted and you didn't get it. Maybe they've just got a little bit of a stick up their arse when it comes to Everton Football Club, and that would explain why they deem what was probably the clearest penalty you'll ever see in your life as debatable. I mean, Jared Brandthwaite not only is being held, but if you actually look at the defender, I can't remember his name, if you actually look at the defender who's holding Jared Brandthwaite, you can see in his face the amount of power it's taken out of him to keep a hold of him. And there's actually a point where Jared Brandthwaite lifts both of his legs off the ground and doesn't fall because the fella's got hold of him, and you can tell in his face, he's squeezing his face like that, trying to keep a hold of him. It's the most blatant penalty that you will ever see in the history of this sport. And obviously it was given, they couldn't deny it, VAR gave it, and well, the referee gave it after going to the monitor, but we all know when that happens, we know what the decision is. And Dom steps up and dispatches it brilliantly, and once again gets himself on the score sheet. 7 Premier League goals for the season. He's in fine form at the moment and coming towards the latter stages of the season. There was a lot of discussion about Dominic Calvert-Lewin earlier on in the season. There was a lot of talk. There was a lot of, is he good enough? You know, should we play Beto there instead? And it got to a point, sort of February time, where we were all sat back thinking, well, we've had the January transfer window now. We know this is our squad. We know this is the group of players that are going to see us through until the end of the season. Who is going to be the one that stepped up? And at times, Dominic Calvert-Lewin felt like he was the furthest player that was likely to step up and do the business for us, but he has, and he's been absolutely exceptional over the last few weeks or so. And even though, like I said, I don't think it was an immense team performance yesterday, I don't think we were brilliant as a collective, I don't think the performance was great, he still stepped up when it mattered and rifled that ball into the back of the net and you know, put us 1-0 up, and rightfully so. And like I said, I thought we dealt well with the ball. They had a lot of heart and were always going to get at us, and were always going to press us and cause us problems. And you know, it's easy to sit here and say, well, I expected us to turn up and just, you know, beat them comfortably like a lot of teams have done this season, and this, that, and the other. It was never going to be the case. This was arguably their biggest game of the season last night, because this was an opportunity to beat a side that are already safe and have got nothing to play for and nothing to worry about. And had they have won last night, it would have been huge for them with a couple of games to go, given, you know, Forest and Burnley have got a couple of difficult, tough, challenging games coming up. So this was a cup final for them, and it was a pre-season friendly for us effectively. And I thought we did well in managing their emotion and managing their desire and the press from them, because it was at times, it was you know, it was apparent that they were desperate to win that game of football, and it was never more apparent than when they were crying at the full-time whistle at the fact that the referee hadn't given them an extra corner, despite the fact he played an extra 2 minutes for nothing. In fact, I don't know why he gave 6 minutes in the first place. He gave 6 minutes at the end of both halves, 12 minutes at a time in a game that ended 1-1, and let's be honest, there was, each team had a couple of chances, each team had a couple of moments, but other than that, it wasn't particularly end to end for large parts of it. Certainly that second half, it was very boring, it was very dull, it was very, an end of season game where one team's not really got anything to play for and the other team just aren't any good, really. So yeah, I'm not sure where the moaning came from the Luton fans, but yeah, again, I'm not sitting here with any emotion other than just I feel now exactly how I thought I'd feel before the game. And before the game, I thought, regardless of the result here, there's nothing that can make me angry. There's nothing that can make me... Even if Everton had gone out and lost convincingly yesterday, I'd have been disappointed. I'd have been a bit frustrated. I'd have been a bit fuming because we'd lost 3 games to a really poor side in a season. But I wouldn't be worried, I wouldn't be anxious, I wouldn't be screaming, I wouldn't be shouting, because we've waited 3 years to get to a point where we can go into the last couple of games of the season and not be stressing and not be worrying. And we've had so much go wrong this season. We've been in relegation battles for 3 years now, but let's not forget and let's not act like this season was the same as last season. And it's interesting when people talk about Everton because they say, oh, I heard... I don't know whether it was Simon Jordan or or somebody on Sky anyway. One of the top media people were talking the other week, and they were talking about Everton flirting with relegation for a number of seasons on the spin now, and how, Everton have got lucky. If Everton keep doing this, they'll inevitably go down. It's almost as if they're forgetting that this season has been a complete anomaly compared to the other two. Yeah, I agree. The season, last season and the season before last, we had better squads than what we've got now, and we were flirting with relegation. We survived on the penultimate day 2 years ago. We survived on the final day last season. I get it. This season, without a corrupt organisation with an agenda and a desperation to take us down, Everton would be bang mid-table at the moment, and we would have been safe a month ago, maybe even 2 months ago. And I know that might sound a little bit contradictory from me because I've been very vocal against the manager, but I've not been vocal against the manager because of the points we've got on the board or because I've not believed that we were never going to survive. I was vocal because I don't think any Premier League manager can go half a season without a win and not have people asking questions and saying, hang on, is this really working? But the manager deserves an immense amount of credit because in the hardest season of the 3, we've had point deductions, more than 1 point deduction, by the way. We've had a 10-point deduction initially. Then we had another one. We've had an ownership situation where we've got an absent board with nobody on it that's got any real authority to make decisions. We've got an owner that doesn't care. We've got new owners coming in that have got court cases coming out their ears. The manager's had to deal with so much, and yet, if it wasn't for those point deductions, Everton would be comfortably safe and would be above, like I said at the start of the video, the best ranked football club in the country. So I'm not really sure this season fits into the whole narrative of, well, if you carry on floating around the bottom, then you're going to get relegated, because it's like if Manchester City go into next season with a 40-point deduction and then stay up by 6 points. It's like people saying, oh, well, if they keep floating by the bottom, they're going to go down. Well, no, it's nonsense, because without the deductions, you wouldn't be anywhere near the bottom. And it's the same with Everton this season. Without the deductions, we'd be much more comfortable than what we appear now. And I think the performance yesterday was a performance of that. And like I said, we've, as a fan base, waited 3 years to get to a point where we can watch games of football, where we can sit down and watch Everton, where we can sit down and watch other teams and not be absolutely shitting ourselves at what the outcome might be. And that's exactly how I felt yesterday. I had a brilliant 2 hours between 6 and 8 watching the wrestling, and then I sat down and I watched Everton stress-free. I still wanted us to win. I was still frustrated when we conceded, but at the end of the game, 1-1, a point away from home, another point on the table. We beat Sheffield United. We might climb another couple of places, and that's another couple of extra £1 million. I'm not fuming that we drew against Luton away when we're already safe. Because there's a lot of different scenarios where Everton would have lost comfortably yesterday, because we'd have turned up thinking, oh, well, we're safe now, so who cares? But we didn't. We still were structured. We still were relatively comfortable at times. We still looked like we were in control at times. Yes, the second half was very boring and nothing much happened, and Luton had a couple of opportunities, but again, as I said, they've just not got anywhere near the amount of quality needed to survive in this league, and if they do, it'll be a miracle. And again, one of them and Burnley have got to survive in this, because only 2 of them will go down. Sheffield United have already gone. It will be 2 of Burnley, Luton and Forest. And if Forest are to go down, then that means whoever that team is that stays up, Burnley and Luton, they should be looking themselves in the mirror at the end of the season and counting how lucky they've been, because they've both been pretty horrific all season. And I don't care if Luton have tried their hardest and had a go and battled and this, that and the other. They've lost lots of games of football that they shouldn't have lost. They've dropped points in games of football where they've been comfortable and cruising. And so both of them should count themselves very lucky if they find themselves in the Premier League next season. But the notion that Everton should as well is nonsense, considering we've had... we've had 8 points taken away from us this season and we've still managed to be safe with games to go, and if we hadn't had those points deducted, we'd be comfortably mid-table. So as I said, not the most entertaining game. Credit to Dom for putting the ball in the back of the net. It was a good penalty. It was a well taken penalty. Thought defensively we were okay. The goal is poor. They targeted our full-backs all afternoon because they knew they wouldn't get any luck targeting our centre-backs, and Ashley Young again proved that he's probably not good enough to be a starting fullback in the Premier League at this age, and it's definitely an area of the pitch that we need to address in the upcoming summer transfer window. But listen, it is what it is. We got a point away from home, and even had we have not been mathematically safe, you'd probably look at a point away from home and go, do you know what, it's not the end of the world. So the fact that we are safe in this game meant absolutely nothing to us. Yeah, happy days. I've said numerous times throughout this season, if it does get to a point where Everton are mathematically safe with games to go, I won't even care what the outcome or the results are of those games, because I'll just be happy with the safe and I'll just be looking forward to getting this season over with. And that's exactly how I am now. That's exactly how I feel now. So there you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you've enjoyed the video, please do leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new as well. Would mean a huge amount to me. Big thank you all for watching. Up the toffees, and we'll see you after.